Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland, with me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. If you are newly engaged, then you have to listen to the 4 episodes that we've just done. Throughout the month of January, we had a whole series on planning your wedding, what to do when you're newly engaged. It's things like choosing your wedding date and going through your branding, colors, and all the things to do with planning your wedding at the start of your engagement and what decisions to make at the beginning, so that all the other things that you might be a little bit stressed and overwhelmed by, those things can all wait. So if you are newly engaged, take a listen to those episodes. We shared lots of valuable information. But this episode is specifically for couples who are getting married abroad. So if you live in Ireland, but you're getting married somewhere else and having a destination wedding, or perhaps you live somewhere else and you're coming to get married in Ireland, then today's episode is for you. So we got a really great question from Denise, who sent me an email over the Christmas holidays, and she says, I just got engaged over Christmas and have started listening to your podcast, which I'm loving so far. Always good to hear that. Thanks, Denise. And also congratulations on your engagement. So Denise says, I'm currently living in Australia and planning on getting married at home in Ireland around September 2024. And I'm moving home early in 2024. So this means we need to organize the main aspects from here. So I'm just wondering, do you have any tips on planning a wedding from overseas, or could this be a future podcast topic? Well, Denise is not the only person who's been asking questions about getting married abroad, destination weddings, and all of those different things. So I've gathered a few bits of information, some questions from different people, and I'm going to share some information with you. And then at the end of the episode, if you still have questions, I'm going to let you know how you can get in touch with me, because we can do a follow-up episode in a few weeks' time where we cover everything else to do with weddings abroad and destination weddings, in case you've got more specific and detailed questions that we don't cover today. So first, we're going to talk about suppliers. So in order to have an amazing wedding, whether it is a destination wedding or any other type of wedding, your wedding supplier team will be the ones taking your dreams and ideas that you've got in your mind, and they're going to turn it into reality. They're going to bring these dreams to life. And so it's very important that you have a supplier team that you can trust. So the main thing to think about is, where should these suppliers be based? If you're getting married abroad, should they be local to you, or should they be local to the destination you're getting married in? So there are a couple of different options, and it really depends on your budget as well as your preferences and the things that are important to you. So what I will say is COVID has actually made things so much easier for us to connect with people online. So things like sending emails, that's always been a thing, but people are just better at it now. People reply to emails more promptly. You can do things like online venue tours. A lot of venues have videos where they do a kind of 360-degree tour in a video form, and you can have a look at, it's like an interactive tour. You can see different parts of the venue. You can also do video meetups and video calls and that sort of thing, where you can actually chat with suppliers online. So those things have made everything so much easier. But for some people, meeting suppliers face-to-face is kind of a deal breaker if they can't do that. So if that's where you are, if you're in a place where you've got a list of suppliers that you really want to meet in person, for example, your wedding venue. You don't necessarily feel like you've got to meet the coordinator in person, but perhaps you really want to see your venue in person before making the decision. Or if you want to have a wedding band that you want to watch live, or you want to have a wedding planner and you want to connect face-to-face. If it's a game changer for you and you need to have some face-to-face contact, then these are your options. You can either hire suppliers who are local to you, and they will then travel to your destination. Obviously, a wedding venue, it's not really going to work with that. The venue is in the destination you're getting married in. But your wedding planner, your photographer, your band, if you've got a few suppliers like that you want to have close to you so you can meet up with them in person periodically throughout your engagement, you can hire them local to you, and then you fly them out to your destination. The other option is you can have 1 or 2 wedding planning trips where you go to the destination, and you can have one trip where, and I'll talk about this a bit later, but you can have one trip where you go out, you find your venue, you find your suppliers, you connect with people, and then you have another trip where you solidify the plans that you make virtually, and you can make some more detailed decisions. Once you've made the big decisions in trip 1, you go back for trip 2, and then trip 3 is the wedding. It's not completely necessary to do that, but if being face-to-face with some of the suppliers is important to you, those are some of your options. Now, if you're happy to do everything virtually, then you've got a couple of other options. You hire your suppliers that are local to the wedding destination that you're in, and I'm going to tell you why I think you should do it that way. If you are going to be far away from your wedding destination, it's going to bring so much comfort knowing that while you are far away, you've got a supplier team that can do the legwork for you because they will be on the ground in your destination. So it could be a wedding planner who's, kind of pulling strings behind the scene. It could be your wedding venue, getting everything together for your day. It could be your band. It could be your florist who knows where the local flowers are and which ones will be best for the season and the setting. And whoever it is, it will bring so much comfort knowing that even though you are far away, your wedding supplier team is made up of people who live and work in that destination, and they know the destination well. And so what I recommend is, if you are going to go with a supplier team based in your destination, you might find that it's tricky to find them because it's harder to meet people if you can't kind of walk around and see people in one venue and then drive down the road to visit the florist who works over there. So what you can do is you can find a supplier that you trust and then ask for recommendations. And this is true no matter where you're getting married and what's happening. I always recommend asking your suppliers if they have other suppliers that they've worked with. Supplier clusters are a dream come true because they work together often, they trust each other, they know how they work, they've got a good relationship, and it just makes things so much easier. So for example, it could be a photographer that's worked at your wedding venue. It could be a hairdresser and a makeup artist who work together often, and those, because they're bridal beauty services, they, when they work together and they know each other well, it just makes everything so much simpler. It could be a wedding planner who knows an amazing band or DJ. Whoever it is and whoever you start with, I recommend saying, hey, now that we've booked you, do you have any other suppliers you can recommend? And we can have a look at the list. The added benefit is that if you pick a venue, for example, and you ask for their recommendations, the style of the venue will often match the style of the people that they recommend, which is always a win. Okay, next question that we're going to go through is a very important one. So many people have asked, can Irish couples get legally married abroad? And it's a big question because getting legally married in Ireland is so complicated sometimes. We've actually done 2 podcast episodes, which I'll share the links to those because we had some amazing celebrants and solemnizers join in and ask a whole lot of questions about the legal process because it's so hard to understand sometimes. I didn't fully understand it and I thought, I can't explain this if I don't fully get it. So I got some suppliers in and we spoke about it. So I'll drop the link to that so you can get all the ins and outs of getting legally married. But when it comes to getting legally married outside of Ireland, what are the possibilities? So we actually have a blog post from a few months ago. I'm also going to drop a link to that in the notes for this episode, where we had some destination wedding suppliers share their experience of what's possible in the area that they plan weddings in. And you'd be surprised at how straightforward everything can be. Now, it obviously depends on your unique situation. So do you want to have a Catholic wedding, or do you not really mind what type of wedding it is? Do you want a secular wedding? Are you dead set on having things be legal, or are you open to having a legal ceremony where you live and then having a symbolic ceremony at your wedding location? There's so many different things to think about, and not every couple has a straightforward situation where they've got all the necessary documents that they can provide. So I recognize that there are lots of pieces to the puzzle. But here are what a couple of suppliers had to say. So Marcela from Your Dream Wedding in Spain said that in her local area, the Costa Blanca, Catholic weddings happen every day and they're recognized as legal. So this is what she says. The first step is to contact the parish priest where the future couple resides. The parish priest will initiate the documentation. So these are things like baptismal certificates, letters of freedom, photocopies of passports, all of that side of things. You'll obviously get a detailed list of all the documents. And then the parish priest will make contact with the diocese in Spain. And then from there, there's a whole process of who gets in touch with you, and they'll let you know what else you need to do. But it's as simple as beginning with the parish priest, and then you'll know what documents you need and where to proceed from there. So that is for Spain. And then we spoke with Sanho Dois, and they handle weddings in the Algarve. And they said that Catholic weddings actually follow the same procedure everywhere. And the requirements are often the same as they are in Ireland. And the only thing that changes is the address of the church. And the great thing about working with these wedding planners is they can actually get English-speaking priests to conduct the wedding ceremony for you. So if you aren't sure, sometimes it can be complicated or impossible to tie the knot legally. So this is what I recommend. If you're stuck and you don't know what to do, or you've tried to get married legally in a different country and it's very complicated, you can always have a legal ceremony in your hometown, whether that's Ireland and you're going to go somewhere else, or you're living somewhere else and then you're coming to Ireland. And then wherever your destination wedding is, you have a symbolic ceremony. You don't have to worry about the legalities of everything because you will have done that already. And the symbolic ceremony is really there for you to exchange your vows, have a really special moment of declaring your love for one another in front of your family and friends. You can still have that moment even if you don't get legally married on the day. So we're going to end with a few wedding planning tips for those couples planning their wedding abroad. So I'm just going to fire off a few things for you. First thing, hire a reliable wedding planner. So I've already mentioned that the beauty of having someone who's on the ground is it's priceless. You're going to feel so comforted, you're going to feel so at ease, knowing that you've got someone you can trust, somebody who's organized, somebody who's on top of things, but they're in the destination where you are going to get married. You'll feel so on top of things knowing that somebody else is handling things for you. Next thing, let that wedding planner tell you what the wedding venues are actually like. So you don't want to rely on only a Google search and looking at online images. You just want to know what the venue is going to be like. And of course, if you can see the venue for yourself, that's a bonus. But if you can't, having a reliable wedding planner means you've got a person who's there, who can look at venues and say, this one is amazing, you have to go for it. Now, I've said before, visiting the destination is really helpful if you can do it. So I recommend having one trip before the day, where the only goal is to book your key suppliers. So there'll be some suppliers that you can book online, but there'll be some that you really want to see and meet in person. Your venue, your planner, your band, for example. Then you can plan another trip where you can go through the detail of things like the venue layout or the color of the flowers. Those types of things can come at a later stage if you're able to have two trips, of course. If you're getting married legally in a different country, make sure you know which documents you need and get them together as early as possible. You don't want to be frantically running around the week before your wedding trying to gather documents. And you certainly don't want to arrive in your destination wedding country realizing that you've left a very important document back at home. My advice, if you're trying to save some money in the process, is consider a midweek wedding. So if guests are already traveling, if they're already taking time off work to be at a wedding, it doesn't really make a difference to them if it's a Saturday or a Wednesday. So consider a midweek wedding. It's often a great way to save money because it's an off-peak time and suppliers often have special rates for the middle of the week. And finally, choose a wedding dress to fit the location. For example, do you really want to be wearing a ball gown on the beach? Think about it, consider what your wedding location will be, think about the climate, think about the fabrics of your dress, and just decide if they match up in your mind. Well, thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.